No, this isn't a Porsche Taycan weirdly retrofitted with a wacky great V8. Actually, I want to start this Taycan 4S Cross Turismo review by talking about this Jaguar F-Pace SVR. They're not natural rivals, and this is not a comparison test. However, this F-Pace SVR helps me demonstrate what I think is quite an important point. Because for the last few decades, very big, very powerful performance cars like this one have had thumping great engines. This Jaguar, for instance, has got a supercharged 5-litre V8 with 550 horsepower, and it sounds like this. But as we know, combustion engines won't be around a great deal longer. They'll make way for electric motors, probably electric motors with even more power, but those electric motors will be far less characterful. I want you to hold on to this one thought throughout this video. This V8 engine is the heart of this F-Pace SVR. Okay, happy? Let's get on with the Taycan 4S Cross Turismo review.
The Cross Turismo is not only the estate-bodied Taycan, but a sort of light off-roader too. It has 20mm more ground clearance than the saloon, or 30mm with the off-road design pack fitted here, and some black plastic trim to make it seem a bit rugged. This is the mid-range 4S, with a range of 277 miles, 2 motors producing up to 571 horsepower, and a curb weight of 2.5 tonnes. The 4S costs from £81,500.
The Cross Turismo's cabin is very familiar from the basic Taycan, but that's fine because this interior is still a triumph. It really is. I mean, the layout, the design, they're quite simple, aren't they? Simplistic, but I like that. Build quality, exceptional. The materials are really good, and there are some lovely details like the frameless instrument binnacle up here, which just looks lovely. The infotainment system is really easy to use. There are some differences to the standard Taycan. I've got an option here for chassis height, lots of different options for chassis height. And then look, drive mode, gravel. It says gravel down here as well. That just raises the car a little bit for rougher surfaces, and it tweaks how the power is distributed between the two axles just to better cope with a loose surface. This is not a proper off-roader. Porsche doesn't claim that it is, but it does say that over gravel tracks and so on, this will be much better suited than a conventional Taycan. So what else have we got? This one has got an Alcantara steering wheel. I do love one of those. It makes it feel maximum sportive in here. I love the seating position. You sit low, your legs are way out in front of you. It just feels like a Porsche, the way you sort of address the seat and the steering wheel comes to you, it feels like a Porsche. Yeah, it's all just very impressive.
With the longer roof, rear seat passengers get an extra 47mm of headroom. The boot is bigger too, although the load bay is pretty narrow and the rear screen very sharply raked, eating greedily into the load capacity.
When you start driving, no surprises really. The Taycan is brilliant, and this Taycan Cross Turismo is excellent as well. There are some small differences which we'll come on to. But this car, it's a supreme luxury car. It's so soothing. It's quiet, of course, and at speed, there's hardly any wind noise, hardly any road noise. So the cabin is just such a relaxing place to be. And the ride quality is exceptional. It really is. It just smothers bad surfaces. You see a patch of bad tarmac and you brace for it, and then the car just seems to glide over the top. It's so good, the ride quality in this car. There's an almost comical degree of configurability. So, as with all modern cars, there are lots of drive modes. This one's got normal, sport and sport plus, but then it's also got range mode, where you get the most range out of the batteries, and gravel mode, of course. but then regardless of which mode you're in, you can choose your damper stiffness, so you can have very comfortable or quite firm, or one in the middle. And then you can choose how much energy recuperation you have under braking as well. And on top of all of that, you can choose your ride height. So even if you're in Sport Plus with very aggressive damping, you can have the highest ride height. It's bizarre. You can almost configure this car in a totally paradoxical way. If you like, you can have it on the deck in Sport Plus mode, but with comfort dampers. So you can just basically do what you like. In short, there's loads more configurability than you would ever use. Like the regular Taycan, this one steers beautifully for such a big, heavy car. You just don't expect it. And it's so unusual to drive any car of this size and this weight and have it steer with such precision, such accuracy, and such a intuitive sense of connection to the front axle. It's really odd, but it's very Porsche. And like the regular Taycan, particularly at speed, this thing just feels clamped down to the road. It's so stable, so secure, so sure-footed, just gives you masses of confidence. And with all that confidence, you can drive it almost obscenely quickly along a B-road. There's so much grip, such ironclad body control as well. And it feels well balanced. It's not like a regular petrol car that has a big engine up front, that Jaguar F-Pace SVR for instance. So the weight distribution is really good, and the centre of gravity is pretty much on the floor. And so while it is a very heavy car, it disguises its weight admirably well. Or at least it does to a point, because when you really start flinging it around some corners, hard on the brakes, and just for a split second you're thinking, oh my God, it's not going to stop. You realise how hard the brakes have to work to bring all that weight, travelling so quickly, down to the right speed for the corner. Yeah, when you really fling this thing around, you do sense the weight, and you hear the tyres squealing in protest. So it does feel a lot like a regular Taycan. What I noticed earlier is that when you've got it in a very high ride height, and then you shove it into a corner, you'll feel the car roll a bit and sort of lurch quite dramatically onto its outside tyres. And then, when that happens, the car will lower the ride height itself. It's quite interesting. And when it's running a lower ride height, you lose that sense of it leaning heavily and lurching about. Then it just feels tied down to the ground like a normal Taycan. So yeah, this Taycan Cross Turismo is an impressive car. In fact, I can only really think of one thing that it's missing.
Yep, it doesn't have the Jaguar's soulful engine. Compared to a great big V8, its two electric motors are completely soulless. Depending on your view, that'll either be a small price to pay given it's so much cleaner, or a total deal breaker. If nothing else, it is the future. Thank you for watching this Piston Heads video. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and let us know in the comments which of these two cars you'd rather drive.